do it. You scrolled on this video to do it.
Alright, so boom, wagwan, bro. Welcome back to another installment of edutainment, the place where you're laughing, being entertained, but most importantly, where you're learning something that you can apply to your own personal life and make it better. How are you lot doing today? Say with me, yeah? Say with me. I'm doing more, saying less, and keeping that same energy. No cap. Today's topic.
Where we are all about owning our business, owning our lives, and owning our happiness. And today we are talking about owning our money, y'all. How to stop spending so much money. Now, a couple of months ago, I did a video about money saving tips, and the response was incredible. So if you haven't checked that video out, you should probably pause this video, watch that video first, and then come back and watch this. But it's all about how to save more money. Now, in this particular video, I'm going to talk about how to cut down on spending, and we're going to talk about a spending freeze. I don't work a traditional job anymore.
Arguably, the best way to even save money to begin with is definitely to pay yourself first. That's probably like the most basic financial principle, right? If you're getting, let's say, $4,000 every 2 weeks, I think it might be a good $4,000 every 2 weeks. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, if you're getting $4,000 every 2 weeks, it makes sense to put at least 20% of that, so about $800 of each paycheck or each deposit directly into your savings account. And right then and there, you're already living below your means, right? And as a result, you have less money, fun spending, so to speak, to work with. And the goal for most people should be to have at least, at the very minimum, 3 months worth of expenses covered. That means if your rent is $1,000, you have at least $3,000 to maybe even $6,000 or $7,000 or $8,000 saved up in your savings account.
I said, hold on. I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
And as a result, you won't be as financially dependent on your job because you have the ability to be okay for a couple months and maybe find a new job or look for a place that has a better pay for equal amount of work or even, less work. But if you are financially needy, you will stay in a toxic environment or not an ideal situation.
Entrepreneur, and I started my journey in entrepreneurship a little less than a year ago. So I'm not making the same amount of money consistently. So 1 month I may have a really good month, and then the next month or two I may not make much of anything at all. So spending really has to be in order, and it's something that we just do so frivolously. So whether or not you're an entrepreneur or you work a traditional job, doing a spending freeze for however long you can is gonna really help you increase your saving and just see how much you actually spend. Let's get into what this spending freeze is and why you need to do it. So basically, a spending freeze is stopping all spending. Literally, you're freezing your spending and you're just working with what you got, okay? You're being resourceful. The rules are no eating out, no movies, or no activities that cost money, no coffee, so the Starbucks, the Tim Hortons, gotta go. No online shopping. You thought you had something going, didn't you? No even online window shopping. No buying clothes, no non-essential like beauty products, nothing really except for food. And even
I would also recommend to go through your Apple subscription feed on your phone and look at the things you're currently subscribed to on a monthly basis and see if you actually need that shit.
Things and tap on your Apple ID. Then tap subscriptions. Here you can see all the subscriptions that you've signed up for through your iTunes account. Here's the trick, and it may be a loophole that they might close soon. But here you can see all the subscription options available for that app or service. For instance, I have Apple TV Plus at $5 a month, but I could switch to the annual plan for $50 a year. Now, saving $10 on an annual subscription is a pretty common discount, but for certain apps, you may find the same exact subscription for way cheaper.
That is something that we overspend on, which I'll get to in a minute. If it's not a bill, if it's not 100% necessary, like your phone bill or your rent and your car notes, no. Say no. Now,
Erin, are you a minimalist? Because this is some minimalist principles, financial minimalism. It hits home for me. So I would have loved to see minimalism in the title. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody needs a little bit of minimalism in their life, especially if they aren't already financially well off.
The thing about this spending freeze is that it helps train your brain to say no. We make so many micro spending decisions throughout the day. You wake up, you get a coffee from Starbucks, then you forgot to pack your lunch or you didn't have time, so you gotta buy something for lunch, so you run down and grab a sandwich, and that's what, $7. And then for dinner you run to the grocery store even though you have groceries at home. See, everyone talks about eating out, but sometimes we over grocery shop. So you run to the grocery shop, to the grocery store to grab stuff for dinner, and it's just unresourceful. We just overspend. So you've spent what, $50 in one day. And a spending freeze is gonna really help you to realize how many times you swipe or how many times you hand that cash over. Aside from this, just helping overall with boosting your savings and giving you an extra.
I would say that also checking your bank account on a regular basis puts you into the mind of saving, you know what I'm saying? Check your bank account like every other day essentially, just to, you know, obviously there's a potential for scam activity, but just to like see where I'm at with my budget and spending. So if you check it every other day or even every day and you see constant negatives coming out, you'll be like, yo, what am I doing with my life?
If you're doing it, stop it. Get some help.
What am I doing with my money? Let me cut back a little bit. So I feel like the periods of my life where I was overspending and being reckless, so to speak, were periods where I did not check my bank account for a prolonged period of time, even a week, right? I feel like even at this point now, a week is way too long to not look at my bank account. Even if it's the same number, let me just see what's going on. Let me just see like, okay, this is what I have in my savings, so I have my checking, so I have my business account. Okay, how can I get more money? How can I save less, you know what I'm saying? Or save more, I should say. Just check it. Oh, another big hack is also utilities, bro. I made a whole video on utilities. You can definitely check it out in the cards up here or in the description. But as far as utilities are concerned, this is another way that people waste a lot of money. For example, the outlets in your house that are plugged in, they are taking up energy. Even though they're not being currently used, there's still a current running through that outlet. So your microwave, your lamp light, whatever non-appliance, like fridge, definitely leave it plugged in. Stove, leave it plugged in. Maybe TV, leave it plugged in if it's a hard to reach place. But any like non-essential things that you won't use on a regular basis, unplug it. Obviously, if you're not in the room, turn off the lights. And if you're in a place where you might need to dry your clothes, right? Instead of buying or paying money for a dryer, get a clothing hanger, right? Put it in your house so you wash your clothes, right? In the laundromat in your area, and then you take your clothes back with you to your room or your living space, and you spread it on a clothing hanger, and as a result, you're saving money. Like for me personally, my current place, it takes me $2 to wash and then $2 to dry. So what do you think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna wash, obviously, because I need that, but I can avoid having to use a dryer by having my clothing hanger and using that. But I go into a lot more detail on saving on utilities in the description, the cards up here, or in the description on that video.
Hello my friends, I'm Professor Hans von Puppet. The sponsor of today's video is you. No, really, it's you. Thank you for watching the video. Now smash that like button before I smash you. Did you do it? Did he do it? You've done it? Yes! Great. Your service is greatly appreciated. Now please enjoy the rest of the video.
The cushion is also going to help you train your brain to stop making so many frivolous spending decisions.
So, how long should I do this freeze for?
The time is up to you. However much time you want to spend on your freeze is up to you. I would say start off with at least 1 full week, 7 whole days of no spending, and see what happens. See what happens to your bank account, see what happens to your discipline. Just see what happens. And if you can go another 7 days, then do that. But I always think it's better to do bite sizes than to say, oh, I'm doing a huge 30-day or first quarter spending freeze, and then I mean, it could be unsustainable for some people. Start with 7 days, build from there. Now, some additional things you can do before you start your freeze. I would say look in your pantry and your refrigerator. Take an inventory count. See what do you have, because a lot of times we go grocery shopping and we're like, oh dang, I forgot we do have spaghetti noodles, or we do have that can of tomatoes. I overlooked it, and we just don't really know what we have. So I would, before going grocery shopping, and this is just something that I think you should practice on a weekly basis, and this is a tip that I got from my girl Jordan Page from funcheaperfree.com. See what you have and create your meals based on what you already have at home. And even if you do need to run to the grocery store, you can make something that will go with stuff that you already have in your house, okay? The second additional tip is to get organized. Now, similarly to the pantry is how we treat our closet. And I know for me, because this is a personal thing I do, is when I am going somewhere special, I'm like, oh shoot, I don't have anything to wear. Let me go to the store and get something. And then I look in my closet and realize, girl, now you know you could have wore that dress that you wore one time 2 years ago. So I would just go in your closet and just get organized. Toss stuff, see what you have.
I feel like women in general have more of an issue with this because, like, you know, you have more diversity typically in your what you can wear, things that flatter you, things that don't flatter you, you know what I'm saying? For a man, for the most part, you know, just a t-shirt. That's why men that, I don't know, I used to be into fashion a little bit low-key, but you know, just give me a regular shirt, give me, like, you know, a dress shirt a little bit. Like, at a certain point, there was a diminishing return on your money spending or your clothing spending, unless of course you are also maybe donating clothes or maybe reselling it for a profit or for money. I don't know, you don't need that many clothes, bro.
Why?
Make it organized, neat, and visible, because a lot of stuff just gets buried in our closets and we forget that we have it, and then we go out and spend even more money. And then the next additional tip is to give yourself a small weekly budget. Now, I know a lot of spending freezes say you shouldn't spend any money, and I find that just a little bit unrealistic. So I would say whether you give yourself $25 for the week, I think that that's doable, and you don't have to spend it, but just knowing that you have a little bit of a cushion just in case you do on Friday, you know, need that extra push and say, you know what, I'm gonna treat myself to a Starbucks coffee, spend $5 out of your $25, and that's okay. If you need a little bit of cushion, give yourself that, but get it out in cash. So make sure you take cash out, because when we get to swiping that card, I mean, inserting it now because we don't even do the swipe no more, but when we use the card, we just go crazy. So take out a small amount of cash to use just as a little bit of a cushion so you don't feel so restricted. If you choose to make better small micro decisions on a daily basis with your money, I guarantee you will see huge results in your bank account, literally. One thing I do recommend is going into your bank statements on your app or whatever and looking and seeing how much money you usually spend in a week. Kind of take an average of how much you spend in a month and maybe divide that into 4 and see how much that average is for a week. So if you spend $200 a week.
Goes again into the idea of checking your bank account on a regular basis. This can even be applied to the idea of using a credit card, right? And this can be a very dangerous game if you overspend on a credit card. The industry recommendation is usually don't use more than 30% of your credit card limit, right? If you have a $10,000 limit, don't use more than $3,000. So show that you're good to lend to because you have a lot of credit available, but you don't use a lot. And obviously, you'll be able to pay that money back if you don't overspend, right? I feel like some people, or many people, could potentially have more available credit than they have saving. But people should have a robust savings account before they even dabble into using a credit card too much. My recommendation based on my experience with credit card debt, dealing with debt collectors and stuff like that, is have at least 3 months of expenses covered, right? You have minimum $3,000 or so in your savings account. So the habits and the financial discipline that it takes to build that emergency fund prepares you to better deal with a credit card. Do you understand? But if you have a credit card that has like maybe a $5,000 limit and you only have maybe $1,000 saved up in your savings account, I feel like you're kind of doing it wrong, right? You should have a larger savings account number than a credit number. One of the reasons I say this is because in the event of an emergency, you may not have the money in your savings account to deal with that emergency. So you may potentially dabble into using your credit. And if you have no significant money coming in, or you don't have any readily available cash to pay that credit balance, you could carry a balance and then start paying interest, right? So this is why I say the savings accounts prepares you to have a credit card.
That's roughly $800 a month. And it sounds, $200 a week sounds like a lot, but once you get to going, it's really not that much. Think about if you could save $200 in 4 months. So if you do a spending freeze once a month, that's $800. That's a plane ticket to Mexico, or that is a new camera or a new lens to get your business, you know, going. That is a lot of money. That's $800 you could put into an investment fund. So think about all of these goals that you have and how much we say we can't afford things or we don't have the money right now. Meanwhile, we spend on so many little things, and it's those $5, $10, $20 things that we swipe really quickly for that make a huge difference in our financial success. So it's all here, baby. It's all here. And don't just hop back and then the next week say, okay, now I can buy all this stuff, because that just defeats the purpose. Go into the next week as if everything is cool. You will be so much more conscious about what you're spending on that next week even.
I like what you said, the spending freeze, and I would definitely add like the basic framework when it comes to seeing money in your account. Okay, how much of this money am I saving? 10%, 20%? Okay, cool. All right, so how am I currently using my home, my living space? Can I unplug the outlet? Do I let the water run when I'm brushing my teeth or when I'm washing the dishes? And maybe I should wash the dishes instead of using the dishwasher, you know? Should I become the dishwasher? Should I become the dishwasher? Definitely turning off the lights in your house when you don't need it, especially if you live in a cold weather environment. Definitely lower your heater when you leave the house. Why does the heater need to be at 22 degrees Celsius if you are not there? Push it down to 17 or 18, and then when you get back home, turn it back up. And if you feel cold at home, ask yourself this question: do I have a hoodie on? Do I have socks on? Do I have long pants on? If I still feel cold after that, let me turn on the heater. And likewise, if you're in a cold weather environment or warm weather environment, right? Maybe instead of having the full-on AC, maybe you just need an AC for your room. I touched on that more in another video. Check it out in the cards, or I'll leave it in the description or pinned comment. But savings, in more than just like your spending, but in terms of utilities, is also a key factor or key thing that eats away at your monthly income. Sometimes we feel like we have an income problem, and sometimes we do. We could make more, but it's usually the spending, directly and indirectly, that costs us more. But yo, while you're here, watch the video on how to save money on utilities. Full breakdown right here. Watch that video. Or if you want to know why and how actors go broke despite making millions of dollars per year, watch that video right here as well. As always, if it doesn't feed you, don't water it. And too much of any good thing is good for nothing. How you lot doing today? Say with me. I'm doing more, saying less, and keeping that same energy. No cap. Flip the script. I'm out. Deuces, bruv. Pow.
Want it with me, I can't roll with scrubs. The scrub is a nigga that don't make no damn peace. Hanging at the passenger side in my doggies ride. Niggas don't want it with no white like Peter. I'm a fly high like Peter Pan. I ain't your normal geezer.